And we head to our man who's been very busy, Johnny Ralph, a huge haul for the Sydney Swans.
So the Wednesday of Trade Week is officially a trade bonanza, guys, in trades that will shape the 2024 season. So Brodie Grundy gets to Sydney for pick 46 and a future second rounder, which might land in the 30s. Collingwood's Taylor Adams. He is officially now a Swan for pick 33. Dylan Stephens gets from Sydney to the Roos, 25 and 44 back. The Roos get one of the Roos' future end of first rounders at about pick 20, and 4 clubs involved in various trades that get Sydney that get Melbourne pick 11, Adelaide pick 14, the Roos pick 18, and the Suns all of their academy points for their players. But John Longmire has just found himself a midfield. I'm not sure if it's a Cohiba or a Monte Cristo. He is sitting back and he's smoking the big cigar and swilling some brandy. Brodie Grundy, 2 years ago, averaged 19 possessions, 32 hit-outs, 10 hit-outs to advantage, 4 clearances, 4 score involvements, 4 tackles. He is an elite weapon and he's playing at Sydney next year.
Well, Johnny Ralph, there's one man that will be handing the cigar over to John Longmire, and that is the GM of footy, Charlie Gardner. Charlie, we were talking off air that this would have been a trade next week that would have been exciting for Swans fans, but it's come pretty early.
Yeah, afternoon, guys. Thanks for having me. Look, if things moved quicker than we might have expected overnight and today. Terrific outcome for the club to bring in 2 experienced and high-quality players, and as importantly, a couple of really strong leaders and great characters.
Charlie, from the outside, we can only assume that you still think you're right in the hitting zone to be really pressing for that final victory, and probably more importantly that premiership that eluded you 2 years ago. Is that the assessment from internally, that you needed to add a couple of pieces and that you expect your football club to be a lot better next year?
I think we're always trying to get better. And we're always trying to compete at the pointy end. I think, Swans have an incredible record of contending in finals and giving our squad a shot at it. And whilst we've been in a position to be more active this year in the trade period and free agency, it's really no different to the status quo, which is we want to compete every year and be as strong as we can. We don't think it's next year or the year after, because we think we've got the core of a really strong group coming through. The likes of Errol, Goulden, Warner, Blakey in the back half, together with Florence, Rowbottom, and others. McDonald, I'll probably leave out a few, but we think we've got the nucleus of a strong group, but they're young and still developing. And I think we were the 5th youngest squad in the comp leading into last year, certainly the youngest midfield in the competition, and we just felt we could support our young group with some experienced players, and Brodie comes in, and I think will really provide some leadership and presence in our centre bounce for us. And Taylor is an elite midfielder and has done it all before, and we think he can show the way for our young midfielders.
Well, you'd be talking for 5 minutes if you named all the young stars you had, Charlie. That's for sure. Speaking of Taylor Adams, is that some assistance there for Luke Parker as well, because he can play forward and that rotation? Is that how you see Taylor maybe fitting into your lineup?
Yeah. We think Taylor will help Luke and Callum in our midfield to lead that group. I think the great thing about Taylor is he's got some flexibility and some real power when he does go forward, can hit the scoreboard. But we think on the SCG in centre bounce, he can do some great work for us in there.
Charlie, appreciate your time. It's a massive day for the Sydney Swans and 2 terrific additions to your football club. So appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Grundy trade. Let's get into it, Ralphie. People at home, they want to know how this deal got done.
That's right. So Sydney's been pushing really hard for a very long time. As we told you a couple of weeks back, it was a very lifestyle-based decision. Come up here, yes, you're going to play great football, but you'll also have a fantastic lifestyle. Your partner will be able to work in the health industry, which she does. Everyone's going to say, what's the money worth? So Melbourne extricate themselves with this. without having to pay a red cent for the future. They gave up pick 27, they get back 33, I get back 46 for him. That's okay. So Collingwood will continue to pay about $250,000 of that deal. They have a heads of agreement with Brodie, not Melbourne. They will pay that for the next 4 years. So Collingwood still pay $1 million. Melbourne are out of it, and Sydney pays $650,000. So if you'd said to them 18 months ago, 44 in a future pick 30, and you pay $650,000 for a two-time best and fairest winner, two-time All-Australian, they would have jumped at it in a heartbeat.
I suppose the big question is, Del, can he get back to that, though, what Ralphie just suggested then?
Well, there's a couple of pieces. The first thing that I'll say is there'll be a lot of questions asked about Melbourne in this decision roughly 12 odd months ago. I have no disappointment that they tried something that's a little bit unusual. Did it work? No, it didn't. Did it cost them? No, I don't think that it really did in the end. So it didn't work. We all move on. Can Brodie Grundy still be one of the best ruckmen in the competition? Absolutely he can. And I think what we learnt last year is he is a sole ruckman. He doesn't need to go forward. He's not a a forward that can then go into the ruck. There's no reason he can't get back to those numbers that you said from 2 seasons ago. Why can't he?
Well, I think he did it for 4 weeks when Max Gawn went down with a medial ligament injury. What was it, rounds 2 to 4 or something like that? So he's shown us really recently. Of course, he had an injury interrupted season last year. He's going to have the fire in the belly. He's going to be rested up there. He can have his piccolo lattes at Glebe or Paddington or whatever it is. So, happy off the field, happy on the field, and he gets to dominate for Sydney.
That's how good Ralphie is. He actually knows what these players, what they have for a coffee. That's how much
coffee with
research
him out of Magic today. That's what
Right.
Ralphie, let's talk about Taylor Adams. The footy world were quite shocked after Collingwood wins the flag and the vice-captain requests a trade to Sydney. How did that one get done?
So he didn't get pushed out, but he got pushed out of the midfield. And then, of course, he got pushed out of the premiership team by a hamstring. I think there was a fair element of him saying to his good mate Brodie Grundy, look, you're going to Sydney. I can see what's going to happen for the next couple of years for me. I would love to play at Sydney as well. So 2 years ago, averaged 7.1 clearances, 5 tackles. He's only just turned 30. They don't need these guys forever. They just need 40 really good games until Errol Goulden, Braden Campbell, Chad Warner, I won't list them all, until those blokes come through as the new breed alongside Luke Parker.
Out of curiosity, had this one been brewing for a little while, or was this a bit of a shock like it was, I guess, for everybody else? Or did you sort of have an inkling that this was happening?
We had absolutely no idea. I think we all felt they were marching towards a premiership and he'd be there smoking the cherry. And look, Charlie Gardner, when we asked him on Monday, we asked him, did you make the overture or did Taylor? He wouldn't tell us. So I get the feeling that after the last couple of days, Taylor could see the writing on the wall. Yep. You play 1 more year and then you're surplus to requirements. Now you get a 3-year deal at Sydney.
Dicko, I like it because you know the opposition will come at Goulden next year. They may come at Campbell at different stages depending on his development. Warner will get more attention too from the opposition. Having that senior body around these youngsters is really important. It helps Luke Parker. I think it helps with Parker and his role in this side. He's so good and competitive up forward. And he doesn't have to necessarily play centre bounce minutes. It's just up around the contest and being active, which he did quite well at Collingwood.
You look at the collective now that Sydney has in their midfield in particular. You think about some of the great teams. You look at Collingwood, the amount of players that can go through there, that can challenge the opposition in different ways. This midfield runs real deep. And we already saw at times this year, Heaney coming into the midfield, Papley's been able to go in there. They have a dynamic and a balance of their midfield that not every club now has.
Yep.